Alright, so this is the InfraView controller and kind of screen layouts. First we're going to go over the main screen of the InfraView controller, where you have the option of selecting
using a scroll down menu.
32 recipes. You have edit tools for your recipes, so copy and pasting, uploading, downloading, and configuring. So if you want just a copy of a specific recipe and the data with it, it'd be this one right here. Then you also have your process parameters set to that specific recipe. It's kind of an online monitoring version of it, with also the banner that's constantly going on the machine's current states. It's a very tab kind of oriented HMI layout. So if we go to setup on the recipe 1, you will see, if you select a module, that only one module is enabled for this specific recipe. So you do have the option, depending on your controller size, on defining the quantity of modules for every specific recipe. Once you define your actual recipe, you can change the name of it to whatever you want. This one, for example, is IS 125. And you have the heat time, the power level, and then you also have multiple heat times for different zoning and pulsing applications, along with the punch time and the cooling time, which are critical process parameters used for our InfraStake process. You have the pass-fail subroutine that's in there. So that's involved with the InfraStake process, kind of some verifications. And then the tool setup. This controller is very unique, where you actually can program and define specific addresses, UDIs and UDOs is what we call it, through the HMI. Along with that, you control the sequence of events through the HMI as well.
Cool. How would you add a step?
You have a quick direct here, or you can actually add one in. So for instance, if I just wanted to add an additional step as number 8, I do it here and it comes as number 8. Or if I wanted to add one in between, and I can put it at that specific number.
Nice.
So kind of cutting in between it. And this is kind of like almost like an SBC, we like to call it, kind of a cycle monitor. So where I did show those pass-fail parameters, if those pass-fail parameters all pass, then this will give you a kind of pass or fail status of the previous cycle. This is a local, so this is specific to the actual machine itself. Or you have remote, where it will record the log data and you can extract it via USB in the back. That also brings us to our machine. So this is the manual functions of the actual machine itself. So I'll demonstrate actually turning the manual lamp on. You can select whatever module that you have enabled for that monitor, so you can test the lamp on. So it's kind of like a debug test, make sure you have everything wired and terminated properly. You can test the whole sequence of events of that specific infra process, or you also have specific momentary push buttons that you can define as well. So just like the I/O as defining and configuring, you can define your own button as well. And so you switch to design mode, and obviously these are outputs because they're push buttons on there. Then since the only ones we have defined here were these ones, so if I wanted to test or debug the cycle complete status, so I was handshaking to another machine, I can choose that. Momentary off on, so that'd be when you press it and when you don't press it, what the text will read. You save it, switch this over, and then it's right here. Also with these, you have the input, so this is like the status update, and you also have the option to force those specific inputs and outputs on. To this function here. If I wanted to force this on, and it's forced on, it turns red, and even displays up here.
Yeah, and the machine lets you know that it's going on.
The force is present, correct. Okay, so same with outputs as well. So, and then the last thing is you also have this help icon on here. You have the about. That kind of gives a little description about the InfraView controller itself. The serial number, if you have any questions, or you can refer to back to Extol to kind of give you a little bit more information on it. You have contact Extol, our address, our phone number. And then you actually have the controller settings right here, which you can switch to multiple different languages. Then another thing is the spare parts sheet, which I think is pretty neat. So you don't even need an Excel sheet, it actually stores it on here, so you always can have it with the machine. And you can extract or import as well.